I was just looking at that 5 minutes ago, and I saw a lot of it most of last night because I could not sleep due to this apparent complacency governing our leadership. Ang maganda sanang sabihin nila ay, kaya namin ito. Kaya ng ating sandatahan lakas at ang ating Philippine National Police. Kasama na dyan yung ating mga local government officials. Kaya natin ito. Huwag na natin palakihin ito. Huwag tayong pumayag na yung mga yan na tinatakot ang tao dahil sa meron silang mga armas ay sila ang mangunguna dito sa ating mahal na inang bayang Pilipinas. Meron pa nagsasabi dyan martial law in Mindanao will not affect our credit ratings. Martial law in Mindanao is not affecting our businesses. Anong not affecting our businesses? Yan tatlong araw pa lamang. The entire city of Marawi has almost been fully evacuated to safer places. Ako I spent a lot of my lifetime in Lanao del Sur and in the heartland of Mindanao, including adjacent provinces. Yung tinatawag na Camp Kithli nung araw, yun yung naging dansalan. Yan ang Marawi City ngayon. One of the ramparts of the U.S. forces during their occupation of the Philippines 100 years ago. Sa dulo niyan, maybe 25 kilometers away on the northern side, yung Camp Overton, which is now Iligan City. Diyan papunta ang mga ating mga kababayan at ang Marawi City. That was a very peaceful place during those days, during my time, but maybe not anymore. Ang tawag dyan Camp Overton to Camp Kithli, OK Trail. Ngayon, I think this is the first day of Ramadan. Any Muslims here with us? And it should be a day of greeting each other, especially in Mindanao, in Muslim land. Good wishes. May you have success in life. May you be happy in your family. At pagkatapos niyan, meron na yung Eidil Fitri ang tawag, o Hari Raya. Parang Christmas na natin yan. Pero pagmasdan natin ngayon, mga kasama, ang pangyayari doon sa Lanao del Sur and adjacent parts, lalo-lalo na ang kalagayan ng mga tigaron, mga maliit na bata, mga matatandang tao, kagaya ni Rector Mersene. At napabayaan lahat ng kanilang ari-arihan, kanilang hanap buhay, etc., etc. Ang punto ko rito, our government must take strong measures without abusing human rights out there to limit the violence without any violation of human rights, ika nga nila. Let's see. Tingnan natin kung mangyayari yan. Dahil sa wala pang martial law katakot-takot ng human rights violation. At saka, ang laki-laki, nakikibiyahe sa kay Pangulong Duterte. I'm talking about the delegations. And balita ko, I hope somebody will deny this. Pati yung chief PNP. At saka yung Police General in charge of the Autonomous Region for Muslim Mindanao, to which Lanao del Sur belongs, and the heartland of Mindanao belongs. What on the delegation going to Russia? Ganyan ba tayo? I will give you, all of you who are here, one book. This one. You can have it. And then to some, and this will be one per agency only, because we do not have enough. Another volume. Volume 9, our latest. This was 7 years ago, after President Cory Aquino died. And it describes her behavior during 9 coup attempts against her government. And she did not panic. She did not declare any martial law. There were some edicts on emergency situation. But she moved around to encourage our people everywhere not to panic. I did not call you here because I am panicking. No. None of our people in this foundation are panicking about anything except that prices are going up. But they are starting to panic because of this talk about martial law in the Visayas. Excuse me. And maybe nationwide. Okay, guys. Okay. You prepare one signed copy of this. One per each person who is here. Thank you. The doctor's orders for me. It's not water, but red wine. 50 grams every day. Good for your blood pressure. Good for your stability. And good for your straight thinking. Okay.
Your question?
Any questions? But please, lakas ninyo. Taas yung kamay nyo. Magpakita kayo kasi bulag na yun sa mata ko. Pero buo pa rin ang utak ko. Okay. No more questions? Thank you very much.
Dana Batnan, GG Press. Why do you say the president is panicking?
I am not saying the president is panicky. I am saying that some members in his delegation are making panicky statements. If it's true that he has said that martial law may be extended to the Visayas and even nationwide, then that is being panicky. But I read that in the newspapers, and I am waiting for the spokesman to verify or deny that statement.
Sir, Hannah po from SMNI. Sir, mali po ba yung desisyon ni President Duterte na mag-declare ng martial law? Sir, mali po ba yung desisyon ni President Duterte na mag-declare ng martial law sa Mindanao dahil dun sa nangyari sa Marawi?
Hindi ko sinasabing nagkamali siya. It is probably the correct solution, but for a limited part of Mindanao. Do you know that Mindanao, during the time when we had been enjoying the peace after the signing of the final peace agreement in September 1996, had a higher average gross domestic product than the country itself during my time. Ang gusto sabihin, napakalaki ang potential ng Mindanao. Kaya ating kinabit yan on my initiative back in 93 to a sub-regional economic zone called BIMP Yaga, Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines. And that grouping has proven its worth in terms of economic productivity, and that should also be a part of our solution to solving poverty in Mindanao. That is really what I'm concerned about, is martial law all over Mindanao, and it's more than 28 million people. May be proper in the eyes of the administration, but there are enough peaceful areas there that do not need to be subjected to martial law or martial rule. Of course, martial law is like water flowing over a table. We cannot stop it. If there is really widespread violence, it has to prevail over the area. But in this case, we have seen how efficient our armed forces has been. Like the elimination of the Abu Sayyaf Maute group in Bohol only last month. I just hope that the combination of the AFP and the PNP plus our local government officials down to the Kagawad, who is supposed to be an intelligence asset, will be effective enough under the proper leadership of our elected leaders, so that this martial law in Mindanao can be terminated as early as possible, with no more violence of this nature after that. Okay?
Mr. President. Sir. Mr. President.
Ito na.
Question. question.
Saka,
Dito po.
sino mas matanda sa inyo?
Dito po.
Oh.
Dalawa po niya from China Radio International, Mr. President.
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you. Come closer, please. Diba, yan.
Yeah.
Ikaw mo na lang, Melo.
Hindi ka na rito. Magpakita ka rito. Mag-usap ka dyan.
Sensya na po, madilim.
Doon at panik. Dito ka. Para makita kita at mawala ka ng picture. Doon at panik.
Mr. President.
Pakilala ko ito.
Opo. Melo Acuña po. From China Radio International. What would be the impact of the declaration?
Si Melo ka ba?
Opo.
Oh, you better go to the barbershop. Ako niya.
Yes. What will be the impact of the declaration of martial law to the business climate in the Philippines as we are trying to attract tourists and businessmen?
Well, precisely. These are the factors that must be studied very carefully. Even well before the declaration of martial law over any place in the Philippines. And also, I would like to emphasize this. A really honest-to-goodness assessment of the strength of the government machinery within that area, to include not just the armed forces of the Philippines or the national police or the elected government officials, but also the citizens themselves, the private sector. Kakaiba mga probinsya natin eh.
Yes, sir.
Kaya kumbaga, mayroong isang pasyente sa inyo at mayroong isang doktor dito. Huwag mo sasabihin kagad ang gamot niya, yung fentanyl. Hindi niya naintindihan, never mind. Kaya, back to that question.
Yes.
The economic recovery of the Philippines, I'm saying recovery because we are trying to catch up with our Asian neighbors. Kaling tayo sa 20 years of Marcos martial law. Nung panahon ko na, halos 0-0 economic growth tayo sa umpisa. Walang kuryente. Kulang ang tubig. Kulang ang transportasyon. Kulang lahat. The nation must be built up and then strengthened little by little, and we must never backslide. So that when there is any big emergency or challenge, as we are facing today, aangat tayo. Lagi tayo nangingibabaw.
Sir, would you say that the declaration of martial law and the proclamation signed in Russia was a knee-jerk reaction to what happened in Marawi?
In the first place, some people should have stayed behind to take care of the situation. With the president and the executive secretary and so many secretaries and some generals joining the junket. Pardon me for calling it a junket, because it now turns out that it was a junket. And where people should have been at their post, because this is not the first time that there have been threats in Butig. Anybody from Lanas or here? I know Butig. I've not been there. It's too mountainous. But I could see it from Lake Lanao. But aside from that, one of my best officers in the Philippine Constabulary before 1986 was the Sultan of Butig himself, by the name of Jimmy Bangcola. He and his son, a captain, were in the service of the armed forces of the Philippines. Then, the Philippine Constabulary as a major service.
Mr. President. Sir? Sir President.
Yeah.
Sir Shari Ann Torres, ABS-CBN. Sir? Sir?
Bulagi sa mata ko.
Opo.
Oh,
Sir, I'm Shari.
Photos.
We're live, sir. Sir, I'm Shari Ann Torres, ABS-CBN. Do you think that the President was ill-advised when he declared martial law covering the entire Mindanao? And are you also saying that Luzon and Visayas should not really be covered by the declaration, by an expanded declaration? Thank you, sir.
First of all, let's dito ko pa tapos. Let us not talk anymore about martial law in the Visayas and other parts of the Philippines. We have it now in Mindanao. As to being ill-advised, I don't know, because I don't know the dynamics of what goes on among them as cabinet, as advisors, as business people. There was also a big business delegation who are also advisors. But the fact is, in the end, it is the president, no matter what kind of advice he gets from anybody, who has to make the decision and answer for the consequences. Let us please emphasize that.
Sir, one final question, sir. Sir, do you consider or are you thinking of reaching out to the President and personally raise your concerns, your observations as former President of the Republic?
Pakiulit na.
Sir, do you consider reaching out or talking to the President to personally relay your concerns and at least give him a piece of advice about what's happening today?
Well, I am now reaching out to him. In the same way, I'm reaching out to all of you. And also the people who are members of this advisory group, as well as to our lawmakers. It's a take it or leave it situation. I am an ordinary citizen now, and I'm just doing this to give unsolicited advice, which I think, in my humble view, is good for the future of our country.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, Erwin Aguilon po
Erwin
Aguilon po sa Radio Inquirer.
Speak slowly.
Sir, Erwin Aguilon po sa Radio Inquirer.
No.
So, bilang former president and top military official, so nagkaroon po ng failure of intelligence kasi nakapasok yung Mautes sa Marawi City.
Hindi natin masisiguro yan ngayon. But I know there is a certain failure of organization in the entire government right now. I've been suggesting this as unsolicited advice, but also during the very rare one-on-one talks I've had a chance with the President. We have not activated our NPOC, National Peace and Order Council. This starts from the very top, at the level of the Commander-in-Chief, the President of the Philippines, and goes all the way down to our most remote barangay in Tawi-Tawi, in Batanes, in Eastern Samar, and in Palawan. That elected barangay kagawad is a member of this National Peace and Order Council I'm talking about, NPOC. That is not only for law enforcement or intelligence or counterintelligence or military operations, because they do help. But that is also in terms of maintaining the morale of the local community. That also has to do with helping in the development of our communities. That also helps in reducing and then eliminating poverty in our communities. Wala pa yan. Sino ang chairman yan? Secretary of the Department of Interior and Local Government. Sino yan ngayon? Sino? Wala.
Secretary. Acting
Sino
secretary lang, sir.
SILG ngayon?
Acting secretary lang, sir, si Kuy. Acting secretary po si Kuy, Catalino Kuy.
General Kui.
Ngayon lang.
After 6 months pa
Magaling na
lang, sir.
tao yan. Nagsilbi sa akin yan bilang aide-camp sa Philippine Constabulary. Top notcher yan. Sa PMA class of 81. Pero, sino yung kalihim
After,
na dapat, nung araw pa, ay ginagawa na niya itong National Peace and Order Council organization from the top to the bottom, even if he is not ordered by the President. Although, sa wakas, yung Pangulo pa rin ang mananagot niyan. Sinong Vice Chairman? Alam ko, kasi galing ako dyan, Secretary of National Defense. I am not blaming him, not Lorenzana. He's doing well in terms of supervising and deploying and making the AFP do its job. But I don't know about the other departments.
Sir,
Sir,
sir, the President is contemplating on
Ito.
allowing...
Sir. Oy, handa mo na ito. Ibigay mo na ngayon, natagon. Nagmamadali yung mga dalaga. Sige, ibigay mo na. You please refer to page. Sorry, cannot read. $57. For Cory, 9, not 7. Poor situation. And in the end, it says she did not panic. Sige na, ibigay mo na. Oka. Sige pa. Mahaba pa ito, ha?
Sir,
Meron pa akong ibang handout para sa inyo.
sir, the President is contemplating on... Sir, the President is contemplating on allowing... Sir, the President...
Ano na pangalan, no? Hans Messi?
Sir, the President is contemplating on...
Lakas mo.
Okay, the President is contemplating on allowing civilians with licensed firearms to carry them openly in Mindanao to defend themselves. What do you say to that, sir?
That is proper,
Openly, sir? Openly carry license.
even without martial arms. I mean, martial arms. Martial law. You can carry your firearm outside of your residence for self-defense. Now, to do this, however, on an organized basis, so that you can act as a unit, if necessary, is something else. Yun ang pinag-usapan natin dito na kulang tayo ng organization on the ground dahil sa hindi pa naitatag yung National Peace and Order Council. During this administration, I have suggested that in writing many times. I'm not saying that because they did not do it, then we have this situation. No. The situation happened because there are terrorists among us of the new kind called ISIS that came out of the terrorism in the Middle East. Ibang klase ito. But certainly we do not want the Philippines to be turned into an armed camp where everybody, including those in Visayas and Luzon, are already carrying again their firearms outside of residence whether they are licensed or not licensed. We don't want to go back to that whole situation. Oh, okay.
Sir, do you regret supporting President Duterte? Do you regret supporting President Duterte?
Oh, ikaw pala. Payat ka na ngayon, ah.
Wow. Roll lang, roll. Sir.
No, I do not regret. I do not regret. I have said this to him frontally. I have said this to Secretary Abella. I have said this to many of his cabinet members who have asked a similar question. I said, no, my support for him continues to be there. But more important than my support for President Duterte is my support for the Philippine team. And that includes all of you, all of us, na kung bakit hanggang ngayon ay number 115 pa tayo sa United Nations Human Development Index for the year 2016. Bakit? Yan nasa kulelat position na yan sino mas mataas sa atin? Fiji, Samoa. Tatanggapin ba ninyo yung gano'n? We used to be in the upper half before.
One more. Sir, one more question. What do you think Congress should do? Kasi para pong ang sinasabi nila no need to convene if they agree with martial law. No need to convene as a joint body if they want, they support martial law naman.
Yun ang nabase ko rin yan. Pero, maliwanag naman sa saligang batas na the President must submit a report within 2 days. And Congress must make a ruling whether to expand it or to terminate it because the basis for it is not just enough. It's not sufficient enough. But it should be discussed.
By Congress, sir.
Yes, that's in the Constitution.
So they should not take the report hook, line, and sinker. So, yung binigay sa kanila last night. They should not take it
I do
hook,
not
line.
know. I don't think anybody has seen the report.
Yes, sir. But should not take it hook, line, and sinker. Meaning members of Congress should not just gloss over it and not.
Let Congress decide that. Although there are some that are saying the Mindanao Black support. I think that is the correct position. But how about the Tagalog Black? I don't know. Let's wait until Monday.
Sir, what would be the indications that President Duterte should withdraw martial law in Mindanao?
Will withdraw?
What would be the indications that it is time to withdraw the imposition of martial law?
It is not for me to define the standards for the elimination or the termination of martial law. So I'm not there in the field. But let me just give you an example. Very simple ito. Ito, handout na naman ito. Oka, one for each entity. Ito. What is this all about? Award of the Distinguished Conduct Star, January 1991. To whom? Bakit? Of the Marawi Uprising on the 21st to 23rd of October 1972, 1 month after the declaration of martial law by Mr. Marcos. of course, that martial law lasted 20 years. But the uprising, the terrorism in Marawi was ended in 48 hours, including the rescue of the Japanese ambassador by the name of Toshio Urabe, who was visiting the Mindanao State University at the time, and the rebels were trying to hostage him, and he had to hide from room to room until finally he was rescued by the authorities. I'm not saying this to blow my horn. This is the first time, in fact, that I brought it out to you people. But what I'm saying is that the proper employment of our armed forces of the Philippines, supported now by a even more numerous Philippine National Police, because there are more PNP than there are AFP today, plus effective government, local administration, and the support of the public there, where martial law is in effect, should serve to restrict and reduce this situation today. However, we know the record. The Philippines is under fire from the United Nations and other international groups because of uninvestigated killings related to the PNP drug campaign. If you put that one and the terrorism of the Mauti group in Marawi, then naturally there is a feeling of negativism about the Philippines. Anyway, okay. Okay. Ang tama ito, ha? 25 copies. In addition to this, there are side references, like the article of columnist Rigoberto Bobby Tiglao in the Manila Times of April 2015, 2 years ago, when he wrote, and I agree with this conclusion, the real fuse of the Muslim insurgency was the demand of President Marcos during the martial law period for all of the Muslims to surrender their firearms within a certain period. And he explains why, and I think we know this also, that firearms are as precious to a Muslim than a wife. And then there is also another right up here, which is the follow-up afterwards in Marawi and Lanao del Sur. And this is written by General, at that time, Colonel Jose Magno, who commanded the 10th Battalion Battalion Combat Team. That was a part of the 1st Division here in Luzon, and then was detached from Luzon, sent to Mindanao to reinforce our troops there. And he became the most senior officer in the Lanao del Sur area of operations. These are just for references on their part. Okay? Any more questions? Ito nga. Ito. Wala pa ito.
Leonardo Macaraig, French News Agency, sir.
Lapit na raw.
Leonardo Macaraig, French News Agency. Agence France-Presse. Sir, you,
Teka, ano pangalan mo? Agency?
French News Agency. Agence France-Presse.
Hindi yung pangalan mo muna.
Leonardo Macaraig. Leonardo Macaraig, French News
Okay.
Agency. Sir,
Yes po.
sir, you seem to be worried about the effects of martial law. Can you describe what your fears are, what you think might happen if martial law extends and even spreads out to the...
Are you asking me to describe to you the effects of martial law?
Well, what you think might happen now, sir, if under Duterte, if he maintains...
My answer
martial
to you is you stay here for 2 weeks and I will describe it to you what happened during martial law. Because the martial law that is bound to happen could be more harmful. How old were you during martial law?
well, about 12 to until about 20, about 30, sir.
When were you 30 years old?
80, sir. So you think this Duterte's martial law...
Please do not bring that in because we are all victims of martial law. That's my answer. We would be much higher now in the ranking of nations, in the appreciation of other nations about the Philippines, if we did not have martial law. As a military man, pagmasdan mo, ang lalim ng sinasabi ko. Do not tell me that any of you will enjoy martial law. Sorry. But if you want, you stay with us for 2 weeks and we will try to analyze that. Okay? Okay, next question.
Sir, why do you say it can be more harmful?
Martial law?
That the martial law that is bound to come could do more harm. Why?
Yeah, without martial law, you are already complaining in your newspaper and in your agency about the JFK killings. Sorry, hindi JFK. John F. Kennedy.
Sir, don't cover your face. The camera.
Ilaw.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Sir, are you saying you fear there will be more killings under this new martial law?
There are killings every day, whether there is martial law or there is none, because that is the nature of humankind. It's not killing, you will just drop dead of old age. Oh, that's also killing. Come on, don't ask me any funny questions. Give me a good question.
Do you think, sir, that this martial law should be confined to a shorter period and to a smaller area?
This martial law should be a better one because it is governed by the 1987 Constitution compared to the 1935. What I said, and I hope you remember this, from the very beginning, and I hope you have it in your notes, is that we must work, and this must be pronounced by our leaders, to reduce the area of martial law and confine it to less than 60 days by the action of the authorities concerned, as well as the review and assessment of Congress.
Thank you, sir.
Okay? Okay, next.
Meron pa.
Is the audio working? Is it okay?
Wait, napang sir. Yes, sir. David Santos.
I'm David Santos from CNN Philippines. You know,
CNN Philippines?
Opo.
I thought you're all girls.
Sorry,
Sorry.
It's okay, it's okay.
I thought you're all
Mr.
I
President,
think, that is meant to be a compliment. Huh?
maraming magaganda sa Mr. President,
Sir.
Hey, here is John Magno. We just talked about... sama na kayo dyan. Kayo dalaw kay Recto. Sige na. That is how to solve the problem in Mindanao. How to put 3 fat people in one chair. Muslim, Lumad, Christian. At together, hindi nag-aaway-away. Yun ang formula natin nung araw. And it worked. We had the 1996 final peace agreement until the successor administration went on an all-out war policy in Mindanao. After 4 years of ceasefire, in accordance with the international treaty put out under the Tripoli Agreement and the agreement likewise of the international organization called OIC, Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Wala na yan ngayon. Ano tanong mo?
Mr. President, you know the late strongman Ferdinand Marcos personally, and now you have supported President Duterte when you encouraged him to run. Knowing both leaders now and both of them have declared martial law, are you less confident that President Duterte may likely take that same direction that for the former strongman took in terms of implementing the martial law?
No, I do not claim to know the late President Marcos that well, even if he was my second cousin, blood cousin. But I rebelled against him. And that's why we have EDSA 1986. And that is, and I hope you young people remember this, one of the proudest legacies that the Philippines has given the world, which is non-violent, peaceful regime change. And we suggested that as a formula to resolve the conflicts starting in 2010 in MENA. Asan yung MENA? Mindanao? No. Middle East, North Africa. During the so-called Arab Spring. That started in Tunisia. Yeah, the president was thrown out. But so many people were killed. Sino kasunod? Mubarak. Egypt. Tanggal sa Mubarak. Pero, libo-libo namatay. Anong kasunod? Yemen. Pagkatapos, Syria. We Filipinos should be fortunate not to be from Syria. Because there already 400,000 Syrians have been killed. Mostly by other Syrians. It's a civil war. And more than 1 million of them, plus some more from Iraq and Turkmenistan, have sought sanctuary in Europe, going through the Mediterranean Sea during winter. And hundreds of thousands have also been lost that way. Now, in regard to Mr. Duterte, uh, I knew him as an official of Davao City when I was chief of the Philippine Constabulary, and we became very good friends. And up to the time when I encouraged him to run for the president, I said it is time that somebody from Mindanao becomes president of the Philippines back in 2014 or 2015. I believed in him and I believed in myself, in what I was saying. Now, I still have every hope that he can swing this country around so that we are no longer always in the headlines, in the international news, as using foul language, and at the same time calling agencies as well as leaders bad names. He has still 5 more years, and that should be more than enough for a transformation for the good of the Philippines to take place. As I said, my interest is really more for Team Philippines, 105 million people, than for the team leader.
Just a follow-up, sir. Sabi
You
niyo
are following up your follow-up?
my question. Sir, sabi niyo you rebelled noon, no, against yung time ni President Marcos because you saw the abuses under his administration. Do you, from your perspective now, do you see there's that need to be also vigilant under the current setup of this martial law?
Of course, we should always be vigilant, no matter who is the leader, no matter what kind of constitution you have, no matter what is your role in life. Yeah. That lady there looking at you may steal your cell phone if you are not vigilant.
But we don't see the possibility that it will have to reach to a point wherein some more disgruntled military leaders will rebel.
This is the point. You preempt the situation that is developing by using your brains. You assess. And then you make preparations by deploying this, deploying that, recruiting this, removing that one. That's the way it is. Do not just sit there and wait for things to happen. No. The mango will not fall on your head. You have to reach out for it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
Sir?
Okay.
Sir, follow up ko lang yung question po ni
Tama na,
Dana.
sandali lang. Meron dito.
Meron.
Yeah, please.
Sir, for the record, do you think it was appropriate and necessary at this point in time to declare martial? Sir, do you think it was necessary and appropriate to declare martial law in Mindanao at this time in order to deal with the terrorist groups?
Yes, from my point of view here, in some parts of Mindanao, you will recall that martial law was declared by President Arroyo back in 2008, I think, when 54 people were massacred, most of them media people, plus some political followers of the opposition candidate in Maguindanao. And martial law for that province, Maguindanao, prevailed for a few days until all of the armaments and weapons of violence on the part of the Ampatuan family were accounted for. But President Gloria Arroyo did not declare martial law in Zamboanga City at the same time. So under these circumstances, let the leaders make their decisions. But what I'm saying here is, let us keep the morale of our people positive and high enough by saying we will try to confine it to this small area here in Lanao del Sur, or the heartland of Mindanao, let's call it, that will include some other provinces. And we will make sure that it will not spread to the Visayas and to Luzon. Of course, it is not for me to suggest to the President what to say. He is the master of his own tongue. But we have to consider also the feelings of Team Philippines. And I don't know if any of you will relish, even if you are very far away from it, evacuating to a safe place, leaving your profession, leaving your loved ones, riding in a strange vehicle, and ending up with people who are not your friends. I don't think that is meant to be our lifestyle as Filipinos. So let's stop putting this care of martial law in the heads of our people just because we want political support for this administration.
If you were faced with the situation, would you also have declared martial law in parts of...
Again, I'm sorry.
If you were faced with the same situation, if you were the president, would you also have declared martial law in certain parts of Mindanao?
I cannot answer that question because I'm not aware of the actual situation out there. And I do not intend to. If I were only physically able, I'll go there. If you read this, I was in Cebu on an inspection as chief of the constabulary. But when I got word from my headquarters in Camp Crame that there was fighting in Marawi with the Mindanao State University as the beginning of it, and then the nearby Philippine Constabulary Headquarters or Camp Amay Pakpak as the next objective, I turned around without listening to Mr. Marcos or any commander-in-chief and went to Marawi as darkness was setting in. And I told you earlier, if you have ever been to Mindanao, going to Marawi means you must land in Baloy. Baloy is the town just south of Iligan City. It's a dirt and gravel airfield. So we landed at night. And then we did a reconnaissance patrol kind of an operation, meaning on foot as well as on a jeep. Even if there was an armored car that was escorting us. And we went direct to the provincial headquarters in Amay Pakpak. Previous to that, a Marine platoon, and this described in the saga by John Magno. I'm glad you're here, Joe. Thank you very much. A Marine platoon earlier in the afternoon was ambushed at Pantar Bridge. which is the bottleneck that is on that road as you approach Marawi City. But we took the risk. What I'm saying is the AFP is willing to take the risk. I cannot speak for the PNP anymore because that's under a new kind of leadership. Okay?
Sir, question.
I think you're running over time. You are only getting 30 seconds on your program. That's what you want to give me.
Sinabi ni President Duterte that he can solve all the problems in Mindanao. Yung ginagawa niyang parang magic pill, itong martial law, can martial law
Did he
cure
say
all-
that?
Yes,
What did he
sir.
say?
That he can solve all the problems in Mindanao?
Including poverty?
He said all the problems in Mindanao, sir. Can martial law really cure all the
Look.
problems in Mindanao?
Look, are you aware of United Nations 2030? Ay, pahingin ng copy dyan. Bigyan mo siya ng tigisa. Are you aware of it? Who is?
Sustainable Development Goals.
In the year 2030, according to United Nations General Assembly Resolution of September 2015, number 1, eliminate poverty. We have 13 years to do it. This is part of the 17 sustainable goals. What is number 17? Global partnership to attain all the goals, meaning one global community, one global family. What is number 16? Peace with justice. No more fighting, no more World War III. And we are all signatories to that, including the US and Russia and China and the EU and ASEAN, all. Now, if the President said that, I'm very happy because that means we are on track. But of course, that remains to be seen. Please verify that statement.
Sir. Sir, would you say that there are safeguards in the 1987 Constitution and that even the AFP, the DND came out with the guidelines yesterday?
Sorry, I have to call you because
Sir, Marita Muahe po, PTV po.
after this, we'll take a 2-minute break. And, Oka, you distribute the material. What you will not distribute is this one yet. Wag muna.
Yes, sir.
Ang bibigyan mo, tigisa, lahat yan, bigyan mo. Ito.
Yes, sir.
At saka yung Maraming Bandera, Volume 11.
Yes, sir.
What is happening on May 28? Ikaw. May 28. This year, yeah.
Yeah.
What's that?
Continuation of the peace.
Ilakas mo.
Sir, peace talks continuing.
No. It's a national holiday.
National Flag Day.
Flag Day, yeah. That's about Flag Day. Independence Day is coming. That's what we're writing about here. It's not pitchy. Pardon me for saying this, but I am more interested in Team Philippines. Kayo? Oh, okay, sorry.
Sir, what do you say that there are safeguards in the 1987 Constitution and that there is really nothing to fear about this martial law because this is very much different from the martial law before of former President Marcos?
So, what's the question?
Yung comment niyo po na may mga proper safeguards kaya hindi maaabuso yung martial law.
Yung safeguards ngayon, for instance, you have to submit a report to Congress. Have you read the Constitution?
Part of it, sir.
Well, you read that one about martial law. And then Congress has the obligation to assess it. When I assess, it doesn't mean you go before the media and say, I agree, without studying it. Yung masinsinan, we are part of Team Philippines. There is no such provision in the 1935 Constitution.
But would you say that this martial law will be far off from the martial law before?
I don't know. What do you mean by far off? You better ask a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. I'm an engineer. It is off by 50 centimeters. Yeah. Yan ang engineering. Oh, wala na rito. Oh, ito, sige dito.
Sir, kasi hindi nabuo yung quote niyo po kanina. So, bakit niyo po nasabi na this martial law will be more harmful than before?
No, it is not comparing the provisions. You are asking in regard to the economy.
Okay.
It's more
Sige,
harmful
sir,
now because we have the build. We have the easy loans from Russia. And then we have the promises of our rich people to support the government's program. And we have a budget of 3.3 trillion pesos. All of that is in danger of not being done at all if this thing spreads throughout the country and for a longer time. Ayan. It's not comparing the two constitutions. Okay, 2 minutes break. Distribute. Or, sandali lang, you lock the door, don't go. You want to go to the toilet? Okay, you go there, it's there. You want to drink coffee? It's there. You want to have lunch? May lunch ba tayo rito? May konti. Sige, okay. Sige, bigyan mo na.
Sir, pwede ba raw humirit ng one last question?
Ha?
One last question daw. Ano daw po, pwede daw po ba makumpara dun sa time ni Cory na nagkaroon ng mga kudeta pero hindi nag-martial law? What does it say about Cory and what does it say about the president now? Pwede po ba yun?
Wala pa 2 minutes. Lahat sila tigisan ito. Dali. Self-help. Bigyan mo yan, pagkatapos pakipasa. Ganyan, tulungan. Yan. Pare-pareho kayo, makakaroon ng tigisan ito. 2 libro yan. Pero ito, kung limited by agency, ito, we are ready for 25.
Financial Times. ABS-CBN.
Sige na, ipasa mo lang. Parang relief goods yan eh. Sige na, parang nasa Marawi tayo. Bigyan mo. Tinapay yan, tinapay. O dito, wala rito.
PTV4.
Bakit? Ilagay mo pa ng pangalan?
TV5.
Pero depende po, sir, dun sa registration.
For your information, pirmado lahat yan ha.
TV5. GMA7. Economist.
Sige, bigyan mo na lahat.
Economist. TV5. INQNet.
Yung dalawang matatanda rito, bigyan mo, kagad. Philippine News Agency.
Economist.
Business Mirror.
Economist.
Yung sinulat mo, yung nasa sana tayo, andito po. Yung oras mo, paspasan. Yung sleeping mo. Si Dr. Lizilla. Si Ellen. Wala na.
Okay,
Kung saan mo.
next question.
Sir, pwede ba raw maikumpara sa ex-Cory administration kung saan nakaranas sa ilang kudeta but martial law was not declared?
Sinagot ko na yan eh. Sinabi ko, there were 9 and Cory did not panic.
So, panic po ba yun ngayon? Is it a panic reaction, sir? Dito sa administration.
I said that they should not panic in terms of talking about spreading martial rule or martial law. It's up to them to make their own conclusions.
Okay na ba, guys?
By the way, I want to explain kung bakit ako naka-uniforme ngayon. Ito uniforme ng veterano, Special Forces. This is the cap. This is the shirt. It is not because I am panicking. What I have in my pocket is not a gun. But it's the United Nations 17 goals. Sino nagtanong kanina? Dito. Ito. Tanongin niyo yung United Nations dito sa Manila. Wala silang ganito. Kami nag-imprenta rito. Para maintindihan ng Team Philippines. Sino may gusto niyan? One per agency. Girls. Okay, any more? Girls. Girls muna, girls. You give it to two other girls.
The other girls. Okay, sir.
Ito natitira rito. This is for boys. Pero medyo pa nito. Medyo pa na ito. Wala ako sa bulsa. Wala akong baril. Okay.
Sir, bago lang po question. Sir, AFP is planning to create a battalion ng puro Muslim lang, sir, to approach the problem in Marawi. Sir, will that be more effective since hindi hindi makapasok basta-basta yung mga Christian?
Okay. Let me tell you the history of our 1996 final peace agreement. The question is it wise to organize a battalion of just Muslims to be employed there in the hot situation in Lanao del Sur? And this is my answer. When we negotiated with Nur Miswari as chairman of the peace panel, one of their very, very strong demands was, we want those who are qualified and who do not have any criminal records integrated into the armed forces of the Philippines or the Philippine National Police. Yung kanilang mga sundalo, mujahidin ang tawag. So, I asked our panel, ilan ang gusto nila? Sabi nung chairman natin, si General Yan, retired ambassador, Sir, 20,000 yung gusto nilang isama sa armed forces at saka sa PNP natin. Sabi ko, masyadong malaki yan. Let's negotiate. 5,000. Ayan. Babalik ka na ganyan. Until finally, we agreed at a compromise figure of 7,500 total. Now, please review the records of the armed forces and the Philippine Constabulary and Philippine National Police during that period from 1996 to April 2000, time of President Estrada na yan. If there was any of the Muslim soldiers or officers who went amok, who went tormentado, who shot his superior officer, or who shot a Christian, what is the record? Wala. But where did we put these Muslim soldiers and Muslim officers? We mix them up with other Filipinos. Halo-halo yan, as long as they were qualified under the law, with no criminal records. Anong gusto sabihin? It is possible for Filipinos of different faith, even if you are holding a firearm, to be at peace with each other and to help enforce the law. But an all-out Muslim battalion to fight in that area or to fight anywhere, I do not think it is a good idea.
Bakit, sir? Hindi. Muslim versus Muslim ba ang mangyari?
As you know, please study Mindanao. There is such a thing called RIDO. That is tribal conflict. Tribe against tribe, family against family. I'll give you an example. The Philippine National Police, after me already, after me, as a chief, has one Muslim PNP soldier, member of the Special Action Force, who won the Medal of Valor by fighting fellow Muslims in Siocon, Zamboanga del Norte, when they were trying to make a break out of prison. And this guy held them off. But 1 year later, he was killed. His body was found there in the garbage dump in Montalban. It was a killing by other Muslims. Rido, family feud. There's too much of that.
Sir,
Thank you, sir.
Joyce Balancio po from UNTV. Sir, paano to makaka-apekto sa peace talks? Kasi po, nag-express ng concern yung bayan muna. Sabi nila, ginagamit daw po ng administrasyon yung sitwasyon ng Maute para labanan yung ibang rebel groups na nasa Mindanao. Para daw po against yung other
Teka muna. Masyado maraming publikasyon.
Sige po, peace
Tungkol
talks.
sa peace process.
Yes, sir. Paano to makaka-apekto?
Kaninong peace process yan?
Sinasabi nila yung CPP, NPA, NDF daw po.
Ah?
Sabi ng bayan muna, sir. Yun ang concern
Hindi.
nila.
This is CPP, National Democratic Front, NPA, versus the government.
Sinasabay daw po sila ng administrasyon. Kaya daw po nag-declare ng martial law. According to Bayan Muna. And
The
Makabayan.
question is, anong epekto?
Yes, sir.
The chairman of the Philippine Peace Panel, Attorney Gestoresa, has said, and I heard it, that the fighting will not affect the progress or the outcome of the peace talks. On the other hand, we'll find it here. Joe Masison himself has said, by declaring martial law. Sino ba nagbabasa ng inquirer dito? Bukod sa akin. Sino tig-inquirer dito?
Sir.
Wala?
Sir.
Meron? Do you read inquirer?
Yes, sir.
Ah, very good. You deserve a promotion. Sabi ni
Delphine Malyari, sir.
Delphine Malyari Jr. In declaring martial law in Mindanao, Duterte playing with fire, says Joma. That's bad. But I hope that, as Doresa said, the process will continue and the outcome will be positive as both sides have been predicting.
Pero kayo, sir, personally, do you think hindi ito makaka-apekto sa peace talks? Kayo po, personally, sir. Personally, sir, do you think hindi po ito makaka-apekto po?
Eh, hindi ako magkipag-bibay ng personal. I don't know what they're talking about. Some are saying you free all the political prisoners. Our side says, no, some of them are accused of common crimes, and that's not political. That's revised penal code. Murder, rape, arson. So, ayaw ko. Pero ito, pagmasdan natin, sasabi niya. Ito, ewan ko lang. Meron din yata sinabi, pero hindi ko maintindihan eh. Next.
Can I ask?
Yeah, all right.
In the 30 plus years since EDSA,
Where are you, man? Are you from Hollywood?
No, I'm not from Hollywood.
I'm not from Hollywood. No, you tell me your name and where you're from.
Brennan, and I'm a freelance. Brennan Weiss. I'm a freelance journalist here in Manila.
And what agency?
I'm a freelance.
Oh, freelancer. Okay.
Yes. So my question is: in 30 plus years since EDSA, do you think the Philippines, as a nation, has properly reflected and remembered on martial law under Mr. Marcos? Has properly reflected and remembered the martial law period under Mr. Marcos?
You know, there are 105 million of us. Some are very old, like this guy and that guy. And some are very young, like this lady and that lady. The older ones have been parents or even victims of martial law during the Marcos period. So I don't think they will ever forget their hardships during those days. But what is good to remember is that after EDSA, February 1986, we have been held in higher esteem by people of other countries, except that we have been declining in terms of the so-called Human Development Index in the United Nations. But in terms of the rule of law and respect for human rights, I'm sure we have been on the up and up, except this year or this past year. And that's indicated in the UN Human Index report, because that includes good governance and quality of life.
So you don't think there's been any whitewashing of martial law over the last few decades that would lead people today to more readily accept martial law?
Who said there was any whitewashing?
By certain political groups? Because Marcos in many parts of the country and the Marcos family remain a prominent force.
Well, the whitewashing is it's not whitewashing, it's just unfinished business. For instance, the restitution of the claims of the martial law victims adjudged in their favor in Honolulu. That's one. The other is the rest of the hidden wealth. And of course, if you're looking at the victims, well, not all the victims were favored with benefits from their claims in Honolulu, but part of that, there are so many others that were not identified properly. And so we cannot tell. We cannot just say yes or no. But what we would like you to appreciate, and this is for the 105 million team, together with the spirit of EDSA Foundation, that's a private NGO, chaired by Mr. Carion. Parang Carion? And the help of some of us over there at EDSA, we have suggested to the government, and we have been trying to get this done for the last 5-6 years, a EDSA Freedom Learning Center there at the back of the monument today, occupying maybe 2.5 hectares, which should be the memorial and the archives for the martial law period of Mr. Marcos, so that people from other countries can contact through the internet the materials that are there. At the same time, our young people can contact people of Syria, people of Egypt, people of Libya, about their own situation. And this is the way the world should connect in the next generation. That is why you, who are called the millennials, are the hope of the future. This is what the UN is saying by the year 2030. You must learn from each other by contacting through cyberspace. What happened, what happened, what happened. So, okay, we learn, you learn. And in the end, you have a much happier world. Okay? Thank you.
Sir, may I ask, my name is Tirsi Crowe. I'm from News, Finland.
You are from Finland?
Yes.
Is that in Mindanao?
I think you may have even been there.
I have been there.
Yes. If I read right, it seems that Malacanang has declined the offer to help by the United States. Should the government accept
by the United Nations?
United States.
United States?
Yes, in terms of the conflict in Mindanao right now, what's going on in Marawi. So should the United States be able to help? Be allowed to help?
The do-gooders in this world, and I am talking about those that are donor countries, like those of the EU, your group, and the US, through USAID, and parts of ASEAN, like Malaysia, plus some other entities, including the U.S. because of the well, I also mentioned the AID as well as the medical, have been helping in Mindanao. And there is no reason why any help offered by them, sincerely offered, should be declined by this government. They have declined already the continuation of the aid of the EU. But I hope that our planners at the top levels of government reconsider that decision, because they're saying there are strings attached. And what are these strings attached? Well, they just want to know more about our human rights situation. And that is not even a string. It's just a standard that we all have agreed to uphold under the Charter of the United Nations. The very first covenant under the UN, soon after it was established, was the Covenant on Human Rights. And we were one of the co-founders of the UN after World War II.
May I also ask that I think you already talked quite a lot about this, but I was there in the back, couldn't hear. What do you see the effect of this martial law is happening now? What are the problems about it? What are the worst effects of it?
Well, for instance, there are already travel advisories. Don't go there. That will hit tourism. And then you have 10 agreements with Russia. That was just announced last night. Mr. Cayetano stayed behind to make sure that these agreements were entered into. And you have similar agreement signed in China. Now, whoever is providing these investment funds, I'm sure will think twice about investing in a place where there is martial law and a lot of violence. So this is one thing that could affect us. Then I said there is the human factor. Are any of you willing to displace yourself, carry your balutan on top of your head, wading through a river to reach sanctuary? Are you willing to eat just 2 meals a day? Are you willing to walk 40 kilometers instead of riding on a bus? These are some of the things that are going to happen. And for me, because I've been through all of that, I bleed for our Philippine team.
So you see all this kind of in the timeline if this martial law will continue?
Well, I'm seeing it now in Mindanao. On your stations. It's in the newspapers.
And the likelihood of it, the martial law being spread out through all the Philippines, is there a likelihood for that?
What I'm saying is, let us not talk about spreading it to the Visayas and to the rest of the Philippines. Let's talk about confining it to this part of Mindanao and then make that area smaller and smaller until martial law is not necessary anymore. And let us not wait for 60 days to happen. Let's do it quickly. The sooner the better.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Did everybody get these books? Okay, will you please distribute
Yes, sir.
to 25 agencies? If you are a big agency, you try to grab 2. But if not, just 1. And you can go through this and you're entitled to some more questions for 5 minutes based on this. I'm sorry, it's past 1 o'clock already. Oy, by agency yan. Kukulangin kayo. Okay. Oh, last the question. Wala na. Nalobat ka na, no?
May I ask, would you have time sometime soon for a longer one-on-one interview for the radio of Finland?
Oh, I'm sorry. As you can see, I should be doing full time right now. Individual interviews, I don't have time. But what we can do is you write us a set of questions, and we have 30 books like this, and we can give you some of them that contain the answers.
Okay. It's just that we have a radio program where prominent thinkers can talk about their, we are asking them about their ideas.
Okay, we'll give you a video.
All right. Okay.
You better ask about the people power revolution of 1986. Because there's no such thing yet.
Sorry?
There is no such thing yet. That was to eject Mr. Marcos.
Yeah.
How we did it, it's in a video. And maybe that can serve your purpose.
Okay, thank you.
But you please write us a letter.
I will.
On the second topic, you criticize name calling and